Today, I will be explaining to you the best-selling games in the US from 1990 all the way to 1999. Starting with 1990, we have Super Mario Bros. 3. This was a game published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was developed by the Nintendo EAD, a team of around 10 people, which was led by Shigeru Miyamoto and Takashi Tezuka. You get to play as Mario or Luigi, and the goal is to save Princess Peach by traveling to different worlds and defeating Bowser. Critics praised this game for having challenging gameplay, and people considered it the best NES game. Some may say it was the greatest game of all time. Super Mario Bros. 3 sold 8 million copies in the US and 17 million copies worldwide. The budget for development was $800,000 to $1.3 million, and the marketing budget was $25 million. That means the game costed around $25.8 million to make, but today that cost translates to $69 million. Some of the enemies were inspired by the developers' personal experiences. Like, for example, the Chain Chomp was inspired by a dog in Miyamoto's life that lunged at him, but was quickly pulled away. Some awards the game won is the Best Action Game Award in 1989, and the second best console game of all time, right behind Tetris. Now moving on to 1991, this is a game that everyone watching should be familiar with, and that game is Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog was a platformer game developed by Sega and the Sonic team for the Sega Genesis. The development started in 1990 when Sega had ordered a group of developers to create a game that featured a mascot as iconic as Mickey Mouse for their company. The team started their own character design contest, and the winner was Naoto Oshima, the guy who proposed the hedgehog design. Sonic was at first teal-colored, then a light shade of blue, but his final design was dark blue in order to stand out more and match Sega's logo. The fast gameplay of Sonic was inspired by Miyamoto, the creator of Mario. Sonic received positive reviews for its gameplay, and it's also considered one of the greatest games, selling 1 million copies in the US and eventually 40 million copies worldwide. Surprisingly, the sequel to Sonic the Hedgehog earned the most sales in 1992. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was developed by the Sega Technical Institute, an American team, unlike the Japanese Sonic team. After the success of the first Sonic game, Sega started developing the sequel in November of 1991. Some members of the Sonic team moved to California to help the Sega Technical Institute create Sonic 2. People anticipated this game, so Sega spent $10 million on marketing. When the game was released, it earned multiple awards, including 2 Golden Joystick Awards. Critics considered this game to be an improvement over the first installment. In that year, Sonic 2 sold 2 million copies. By 2006, it had sold 6 million copies and earned $450 million. Now I will let Goku explain the next one.
Alright everyone, so Mortal Kombat is next on this list. It's a cool fighting game made by Midway where you get to fight against some strong people like Scorpion and Sub-Zero. 7 characters fight in a martial arts tournament with the fate of Earth at stake. For some reason, I feel like I've done the same thing. But anyways, the creators of Mortal Kombat, Ed Boon and John Tobias, had the task of creating a combat game in 1 year that would compete with Street Fighter II. The development team started with 4 people and the game had a budget of $1 million. Near the end of the development, the team struggled with coming up with a name. One day someone wrote Combat and someone else wrote a K over the C. Then Steve Ritchie, a pinball designer, said, "Why don't you name it Mortal Kombat?" And that's how they got their iconic game name. Mortal Kombat is another game that critics consider to be the best game ever, but it also had a little controversy due to how violent the game was. The game sold over 1 million copies that year in the US, and it earned $1.5 billion as of 2002.
By now, you may be wondering why there are only 9 boxes and not 10. Well, that's because this was the best-selling game not only in 1994, but also in 1995. And that game is none other than Donkey Kong Country. Developed by Rare Limited, Donkey Kong Country is a platformer game where Donkey Kong and Diddy get their stolen bananas back from King K. Rool and his army, the Kremlings. There are 40 side-scrolling levels as they jump between platforms, avoid obstacles, collect items, ride minecarts and animals, defeat enemies and bosses, and find secret bonus stages. Nintendo wanted this game to compete with Sega's Aladdin, so Rare Limited worked on this game for 18 months and released it for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The marketing for this game costed $16 million in the US alone. Critics enjoyed its gameplay and compared it to the Super Mario series. It had 2 million sales in 1994 and 1 million sales in 1995. Donkey Kong sold 9.3 million copies worldwide, and it's the best-selling Donkey Kong game. Next up, we have Super Mario 64. Developed by Nintendo EAD, Super Mario 64 was the first 3D Mario game ever created. Miyamoto came up with a 3D Mario design while developing Star Fox for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The development team for Mario consisted of 15 to 20 people. In the US, marketing for this game costed $20 million. In its first 3 months, the game sold more than 2 million copies and made $140 million in North America. By 2002, it sold 5.9 million units. Mario Kart 64 is the second installment of the Mario Kart series. Nintendo EAD focused on optimizing the game for the Nintendo 64 instead of heavily innovating in order to appeal to a wide audience. The Nintendo 64 was limited though, so the team had to use rendering techniques to save on memory, and they had to use car physics simulations to help with kart designs. Critics enjoyed the track designs and multiplayer, but they also had issues with the difficulty. Mario Kart 64 was nominated for awards, and it sold 9.87 million copies worldwide. In The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, Link is on a quest to stop the evil King Ganondorf by traveling and navigating dungeons in the overworld. Unlike previous games, this game was handled by multiple directors, a new strategy for Nintendo EAD. The developers were inspired by Chonbara sword techniques. Chonbara meaning samurai. In 1998, the game sold 2.5 million copies, and it earned $150 million. Ocarina of Time won multiple awards such as Console Role-Playing Game of the Year and Outstanding Achievement in Interactive Design. Finally, in 1999, Donkey Kong 64 was the best-selling game. Donkey Kong explores levels to rescue his kidnapped family members from King K. Rool. Rare Limited began working on this game in 1997 and released the game in 1999. The marketing in the US costed $22 million. It won the E3 Game Critics Award for Best Platform Game, and it earned 5.27 million sales worldwide. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.